Nicolas Pepe is undergoing a medical to leave Arsenal Football Club, and a team in Saudi has come in for him. A big exit and done deal on the way for Arsenal. We're also looking at Pep Guardiola, who could be about to leave or set up his exit from Manchester City. We're going to delve into that story. It's not the first time we've heard this headline in recent times. Plus, could Sancho be on his way out of Manchester United as the board discusses his exit after his statement essentially calling Ten Hag a liar? We're going to delve into these stories in more detail. Pepe, Pep, and Sancho. Hit the like button, subscribe to the Football Terrace. Let's go. Big reports have emerged from France that Nicolas Pepe is undergoing a medical with Batiscas in Paris. This is no mention of a deal agreed with Arsenal or even the type as of now, which is very interesting. To be undergoing a medical before there's any kind of agreement with Arsenal, that doesn't quite ring true to me. But there's also been reports, secondary reports, that this is from the Secret Scout, that he understands Pepe has received a proposal from Saudi Arabia. Arsenal are looking at a fee of around 2 million. Representatives are out in Saudi to work on it and complete the deal. So look, big reports from France that he's looking at a move to Turkey. Big reports now from the Secret Scout that Pepe could be on his way to Saudi Arabia. Now, look, it isn't a huge amount of money that's incoming, but this is a player who I think he just represents a very bad time. A very bad time for Arsenal. A period in the contemporary history of Arsenal Football Club. Pepe is almost the poster boy of its failure. And that isn't a dig at him as an individual. That isn't to suggest that he was the problem or he made it happen. He just didn't work. He was a 70-odd million pound signing. He was meant to come in and be blockbuster, and it didn't happen. He failed. And it's important to move these players on. Sizable wages, freeing up space in this squad, using those wages to be able to go out there and buy somebody else, bring somebody else into the club, into the team that can take you to another level. Now, I know Arsenal fans may be frustrated that this didn't happen during the window being open for Arsenal, so they were able to go out and buy somebody else. But January will be here before you know it. This guy was never going to get game time. Him sitting around or being at the football club can only have a negative effect. It's never nice for players to not be involved at all, sticking him in the reserves. It can cause animosity, especially as he would have friends in the dressing room that are in the first team. We've seen this before at other clubs. It isn't good. So it's very positive news, in my opinion, for Arsenal today. And, of course, for Nicolas Pepe as well, to go and apply his trade and try and revive his career elsewhere. And, look, he was a brilliant player in France. And there is a technically gifted footballer there. There is someone that might be able to deliver in a different league, in a different system, and maybe now he is going to get that opportunity. There's talk that the fee will be around 2 million, but could rise as high as 8 million with add-ons. About 6 million add-ons out there. I want to get Arsenal fans' opinions on this situation. Now, a big story's come out today. Probably the biggest story of the morning, really, which is Gareth Southgate endgame. It says the England boss is set to walk away after the next Euros, which are in the summer of 2024. And the FA could try to lure Pep Guardiola. Now, City fans straight away, they're going to reject this. No chance, not happening. No way, no way, no way. Dead. Not going to happen. I don't think so. Pep Guardiola has his eyes set on becoming, in my opinion, the greatest manager of all time. And of course, he could stay at City for another 2, 3, 4, 5 years, do another treble, do a quad, win 4, 5, 6 Premier Leagues on the bounce, win another 2 or 3. I mean, imagine he wins another 2 or 3 Champions League and catches Man United's totality, plus his work at Bayern, plus his work at Barcelona, he'd probably be crowned the greatest ever. But there's also a train of thought to suggest, well, what if you took over a nation's team, a good nation, who haven't been the best since 1966, you turn them into winners? What if you got them playing your brand of football and they win a World Cup, they win a Euros? You add that into your CV, and again, you're creating greatness. You're creating a beyond legendary status in England, and again, and adding to your global appeal. He may want to stay at City, but is he going to remain motivated? It was only a couple of months ago the story came out that Pep Guardiola plans to end his Man City stay in 2 years when his deal expires. So these stories have been around for a while. They've been around for a while, but I think it's important. We know that he's got that 2-year deal that was extended. He extended his deal, in November to 2025. And I do think England, listen, as an England fan, I want us to go for Pep. So there is a bias in here for me. I support England as a football team, and I'd like to see this happen. There's also the Man United fan in me. I'm being very biased here that would like to see him leave because there'll be a drop-off at City. And not a drop-off where they're going to become a mid-table team or anything stupid like that. But they will not be superhuman anymore because there's no replacing Pep Guardiola, in my opinion. I don't think there's a manager even on the way up who's anywhere near his level. His level is just beyond everybody else. And just sit back and watch him it's like watching John Jones in the UFC. I just don't think at that weight category anybody's anywhere near good enough to beat him. I just think every fight he has seems to be so simplistic and easy. And I just see Pep Guardiola in that same mold. But City fans, let us know what you think about this story. England, the FA, could be turning to Pep. Let us know what you feel. Now, staying in Manchester, this comes here from Hurst at the Times, who says that some people inside Manchester United are debating whether Sancho would play for the club again after his statement yesterday. So big talk here that the club may look to sell him on, terminate his contract potentially, but not allow Sancho to wear a Manchester United shirt again. And as I stated yesterday, we have to be very aware of the situation here before the club acts. Example would be when Fergie retired, he told us all that Wayne Rooney had issued a second transfer request to leave the club. That's that same summer. He got a new deal from David Moyes, and there was a time when Man United fans kind of had a bit of a lump in, a bit of a sore throat, a little bit of a lump in their throat over Rooney, where they loved him, but it was like, oh, what have you done to us? Then it wasn't that much later that Fergie kind of admitted that he read that situation wrong, and it wasn't a transfer request; it was just a kind of conversation. And he thought, oh, I kind of hated on Rooney a little bit here because I thought he put in another transfer request and he didn't. So we need to be very, very sure that this wasn't just the manager didn't just speak out of turn because he was angry after losing a game. We have to be very, very sure that there have been multiple issues with his training over the time that Ten Hag has been at the football club. We have to be very, very sure that the manager was within his rights to do what he did. And as I said, I don't like dirty linen being aired in public. But if you've tried every other which way to get a player to perform when they're still not even training at the right standard, there does come a point where a manager is going to snap. And that would need to be supported by the club. At the same time this is being discussed, all the stories are coming out about Sancho in the summer, that Chelsea considered signing Jadon Sancho, but had concerns over his mindset and instead went for Cole Palmer. United were open for allowing him to leave. And I do think this is fairly significant because there's a lot of people yesterday that love Sancho saying, well, why don't we just sell him if he's not in our plans? And it does appear when you read the stories, that clubs were interested, but doubted elements of him, whether it was his mindset, whether it be his background or his training. The story that's come out today, again, via Chris Wheeler, speaks about Gareth Southgate and sort of the England coaching team having spoken about problems with Sancho, his training habits, his kind of attitude and dedication towards, being the best he can be in an England shirt is one of the biggest reasons why he's no longer picked for the England team and the England squad. And I do think, look, no matter how much you rate Sancho, no matter how much you think Man United ruined techie ballers, no matter how much you think this is Ten Hag's fault, you have to look at all the stories surrounding him. And for me, I think Sancho is such a talented boy. And part of me hopes this is an attitude problem with him, an application problem, a work ethic problem. Because the other only alternative to this is that he's really suffering with very poor mental health. And this is the position I feel I'm in as a Man United fan. I don't want him to be unwell. I don't want him to have mental health issues. I don't want to know that he's really suffering in himself and therefore his football's being impacted. I don't want him to be ill. But if he isn't ill, and City had an issue, Dortmund had an issue, England had an issue, now Ten Hag has an issue with his training standards, his timekeeping, his attitude, we've got to get him out the club. Because we are not going to progress, we're not going to progress with an individual or multiple people behaving in this way. It doesn't matter how much I rate your ability, because I think he's got ability for days. Work ethic, training standards, these things are not, I don't think they're things you should praise about a player per se. They should be prerequisites. They should be a baseline. But if you don't have them, everything else to me is insignificant unless you're delivering at a higher level for the club. And he's not. He isn't right now. And Man United have got to consider this very, very carefully indeed. Within all these same reports that have come out, the biggest issue United have got is moving people on, because the Glazers want to recoup as much money as possible in terms of transfer fees. But clubs may be willing to pay the fees, but they don't want to take on the huge wages that Ed Woodward and Jose and Ollie and all the managers before gave out. That's now again impacting the new manager. We spoke about this at length yesterday. Rivals will dismiss this, but it's the truth. That's why they're dismissing it. Man United are never going to get back to at the peak of their powers or ever become consistently the best or one of the best teams in England, whilst the legacy problems of previous regimes, managers, and projects impact the new coach. When he's having to play or having these squad individuals he doesn't want because the club won't sanction their sales or just won't get them out, we are never going to progress as quickly as people want us to. The fact that Donny and Martial, and now by the looks of it, Sancho and McTominay and Maguire are here, all players the manager wanted gone. The fact they're all here because the club couldn't get deals or didn't accept bids for them is gross negligence. But of course, we'll just blame it on training, eh? We'll just blame it on bad man management, want a manager sacked, and think that these problems are actually going to fix themselves. I saw someone tweet today that we're never going to improve until fans start realizing who the good and the bad players are. I just think to myself, is this Baller FC pushing weird agendas again? This is about the management of the club and the way it's run. And if you can't see that, you are either stupid or a liar. Listen, until next time, people, take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you all again soon.